Today is day 126 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you would like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, it would be very greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. Today we are doing from Siman Pei Tes Sif Chav Gimel to Siman Pei Tes Sif Chav Tes. And we are still in the Siman about talking about what not to do during davening. And now we're beginning one of the perhaps most controversial areas in halacha, the issur of eating before davening. Chav Gimel, also chol lishtos kodem atvila, not allowed to eat or drink before davening. Kach amru Chazal, lo tochel al adam. Chazal said, expound the pasuk in Vayikra Tes, lo tochel al adam, do not eat on the blood. Lo tochel kodem shetispalu al dimchem. Do not daven before you. Do not eat before you daven on your blood. Chalocha b'shois of achar kach. Ispalo. Anybody eats and drinks and endowments afterwards, you toss me behind your back. Don't read behind your back. Behind your pride. Shem said, after this person to fulfill his own pride, then, only then, Kibel Malchus Shemaim. Because the Tuva Shulchan will accept the yoke of heaven. Because the Tuva Shulchan, the Mayim Mutish goes Kon Matfila. You're allowed to drink water for davening, and this is the the opening through which we drive a truck. It's the opening of the needle through which we drive a truck. This water is permitted both on Chol and Shabbos and Yontif. The Kodem Kiddush, for Kiddush, also Litomi, not allowed to taste. Kiddush before davening, on the obligation of Kiddush. This is what the Rosh did. The Talmud they came into Shadarshu Chazal Ge'echa, since Chazal's issue is your pride or your arrogance. Well, Shabbos in mind, they ain't gonna gaiva. There's no gaiva by water. Avadiva Ramshkas also litom. Now to taste, Masha do the shumtim also. It seems that any taste is also, even liquids. Avrov Rabbi saying those feel like but most rabbis do not hold that way. The minhag pashut, and this is the minhag as it is expanded universally. Lishtos mayim chamim. I drink hot water in Esav Shkorin tea with the grass that called tea, Kodem Atfila. Piromo illa the kills Keadua. I guess it works for constipation, cleans the person out. Yesh also lishtos im zucker. Some people forbade to drink tea with sugar, but any other time. I don't know why. Datu Shem Achiliyash says, you come eating just because you just dissolved some sugar in it. Just to give a little more taste to the hot water. Some people say allowed to drink the sugar when the sugar's in your mouth. A very Russian thing. I've never actually seen anybody do it, but that's what they say. Russians put sugar cubes in their mouth and drink through the sugar cube. But do it into that water. Make it sweet water. Also because then you make not drinking water through a sweet filter, but making sweet water. And here's the 21st time I think they quote the Mishnah Berurah. That is not the primary halacha. Avim cholav, with milk, nearly the usher. I think he wants to say it's usher. Because milk makes you satisfied. But the bami dam, and also according to Chazal's understanding, the milk comes from blood. The dam nechar, the blood becomes somehow chemically distorted, and it becomes the milk. And it's possible to include this also in that not to eat before you daven on your dam. But oilam nagim heter gam b'chalav. The world is made also with milk. So we allowed to have coffee with milk and sugar. Because the milk and coffee only comes to give a taste to the water. And even coffee allowed to drink. The coffee seems to be more substantial than tea. Again, he quotes the Berurah here. Usually stapek is not so simple. In mutar lishtos mei seltzin. Seltzer. Or lemonade. If it's not done for medicinal purposes. The full pshita the shemuta which is for medicinal purposes. It's obviously it's permissible as it shall be explained. Near the and stam mayim elu. Makes sense. There's no difference between any other water and lemonade or seltzer, which is also water. If you're eating or drinking things which are for healing, it's permissible. The halacha says, even somebody who's required to eat for a food before davening, still should read Shema first. At least say Shema first. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. It's not about a complete, totally bona fide sick person. Emil said the Pshita, that's obviously he can eat before davening. I feel able sakona, even if he has no danger, he's not in danger. Kavana rather means the local fool is saying something for a medicinal purpose. He just said some ache or some pain of some sort. I feel elam mikush cloud, or if he has no pain at all. But for fortifying himself, such as in the days of spring shluchim refuos, when people take medicinal herbs, I guess the chazek hagufa getting him to strengthen the body and the sinews. Even if they have real eating and drinking, they're permissible. Came chose to food since you're doing it for your healing. Aim is them shum guy, but it's not to be arrogant. I feel yochol la sos. So even could wait till after davening. Mutter, it's still permissible to do before davening. L'chem yishi yeshlo chusha salei. There was somebody who has a weakness heart. Yochol leachol kol matfilo shizel before davening, because that is a refuah. It says here, I'm Mogen Avram and Mishnah Chayodam and Mishnah Berurah, number 22. Okay, the Mishnah Berurah writes, as brought down here, that the Biur Halacha, the Achronim write that a weak person who can't withstand the time until the tzibur finishes davening in shul, it's better for him to daven and be a chidus at home and eat a little bit and then go to the Beis HaKnesset, to the shul, to hear Kaddish and Baruch Shara Dibri Kedusha. That's better than eating before davening and then going to the shul to daven with the tzibur. Okay. Chav Hey, Kosar on Perek Hey. The Ram writes in Perek Hey that Samei v'Ara'ev Hareim B'chal Cholim. Somebody who's thirsty and hungry is included in sick people. The Mishnah Berurah adds that Hara'ev means Harbei, somebody who's very, very hungry. Im yesh b'chos, so im yesh b'chos l'chavin daito, Arukh HaShulchan says if he has the capacity to be mechavin yispel shadavim, if not, lo ayispel. Oh, this is quote from the Rambam. Ayispel ad sheyochel v'yishteh, should not daven until he eats and drinks. Akal l'shoro. Umashma, we can infer that also lo yispel ad sheyochel v'yishteh. He can't daven until he eats and drinks. Rabbeinu Yosef Dalet, because imrotz ha'ayisba ad yochal v'yishteh. He writes it's not also for him to daven until after he eats and drinks, but it's optional for him. He can wait and daven until after he eats and drinks. Einshon Bir Tamo B'Sifra Gadol. He explained in his great sefer that it's mishum lavach einanu mechavin kokach. Har kavod is not great, so I even after we eat. So therefore, optional. That's why we don't protest if he wants to daven before he eats and drinks. Obviously, it's when it is not going to damage his health if he doesn't eat immediately. If it's possible that there is going to be damage to his body, then pshitish also is obviously you cannot eat. You cannot daven until he eats and drinks. Tichsiv Nishmartem lenafsho sechem. It's only quote as Nishmartem o lenafsho sechem. Event is from Dvarim Dalit. There's a famous story about the Tzemach Tzedek and his sister, and this in Lubavitch there are some Hasidim and Hasidos who do eat before davening, at least on Shabbos, on a regular basis. And they say that the Tzemach sister, the Tzemach Tzedek, asked the Tzemach Tzedek if she can eat before davening. I don't know if there's special circumstances or not. And someone said it's supposed to said it's better to eat in order to daven than to daven in order to eat. Because if you need to eat and you don't eat before, it's really davening because you want to get to the food. It's better to take the food in order to daven than to take the daven in order to take the food. So on this, many writers have tried to be base and explain Minhag Chabad. Not for now. Chavav, Kasa Tur. The Tur writes, if you start eating before dawn, Kasa Rambam says the Rambam says you don't have to stop when dawn comes. Vadoni Avizal, the Tur quoting the Rosh, Kasa B'Shem Ri, you do have to interrupt. Hakol Shalom. Piece of Kasa Rabbeinu says, Sifei Dimisra Chol Karmelos HaShachar, Tzorech L'Hafsik, the primary law is to stop. Yeshua, some say, Ain't Tzorech L'Hafsik, you don't have to stop. Hakol Shalom. The Datoi Chari said his primary perspective is Tzorech L'Hafsik, is that you do have to interrupt. The Kasa B'Sipar Loel, Mashkasa Tu B'Shem Ram, Shein Tzorech L'Hafsik, he writes that which to a wrote the name of the Ram, they don't have to be Mafsik, don't have to interrupt. Ta'usu, it's a mistake. So Kasas and B'Shachris, he never wrote this by intend to write this by Shachris, Rak by Mincha, only by Mincha. That's a Rashba Kenu, it's only the Rashba who holds that like that. Shein Tzorech L'Hafsik, you don't have to interrupt when the dawn comes. Ayin Sham. The Ken Kasu come Farshah Tur. So wrote all in Farshah Tur. Avlino is Daiti ain't okay. He disagrees. The Kavanasa Amashkos around Perek basic Kriyashma. He also Bechil Chule. Kom Erchaka Kori Kriyashma. It says that if a person was about Shema, he finishes eating and then he reads Shema. But Rabbi Yitzchak Rabbi argues him. The came the Kriyashma the Raisa. Says Kriyashma is min ha-toiro. So I have to interrupt Afilu. He shows the Kroach HaKach, even there's going to be time to eat afterwards. Tefillah, but for Shemar Esrei, which is the Rabbanan Lo Yifzok. Elin Kein Lo Yishel Zman Lispel, Ayin Sham, less than what a time left to have and see there. The Kvar Kosaf, the Besop Siman, Ayin, the Lo Pliye Klau. We wrote, they don't argue. The Rav might be Schil Be'isr. Rav said where you began at a time when you should not have begun. Rama might be Schil Be'eter. Kodem or Yom, the Rambam says, but he began when it's permitted, before the light of the day. So the Shabbat come out Tur, so that's good. And what means that Tur said good thing. We still going to Moshe Shachar. That's the Rambam saying, so I'll see. Going around, we don't have to stop. She feel the Kriyashma Daito came Kosh and feel. It's a opinion by Shema, it's only for Shema Esrei. Can das arrive at Varashba. Can have a rove day or Slahati. Most opinions will let you continue eating. You will start eating before Moshe Shachar. When Arukh HaShulchan lived in the Vardak, the dawn came very, very early in the summer, as we've seen in the past. So people were eating at a chasna well into dawn, which is shortly after midnight. He says, that's Rosh B'chol not tzarich l'hafsik. According to Rosh, you have to interrupt no matter what. Lo dami the mincha shem asik. It's not like mincha. You don't have to interrupt. The b'shachris asmuchu akrot the lo suchu adam. Because shachris that's the additional component of not just mitzvah veres, but lo suchu al adam. U'ledei azu b'chasnos lo yachil amishim ein chin the gomer lo shachar. You shouldn't start the party of a chasna if you can't finish it before dawn. Perhaps in B'suas mitzvah it's not a problem. It says in brackets, perhaps the Mogav Rom is doing this. And the minhag is pasha that way. Not to start the chasna. I'm sorry, the B'suas mitzvah, we let you go overtime past the Rosh Hashachar. According to the Yeshua, even you start after Rosh Hashachar, and have sickly feel you don't have to stop for davening. Rak Kriya Shema only for Shema. You call Kriya Shema. You should read Shema v'yochal and eat. We still call him Los Hashachar, and we started before Los Hashachar. Gam call Kriya Shema and so seek also for Kriya Shema. You don't have to interrupt. So brackets here where he writes. I'm a Gavan Siv Kod Nidav Siv Kod Nidav Mashkos of Shem Reb Chaim Vital Feel Come Below B'Chatzos Eitom Klum Kodim She's probably going to get at midnight. Shouldn't eat anything before down night. Shem Zel Likdoshe El Yom. It's for high holy people. Flo Medina. It's not the letter of the law. I've conversation cooking. So this is welcome. Because the Jews are going to Shem Shvus Yaakov. Some people distinguish the Achil Osir. If you get up in the middle of the night, eating is forbidden. As Shasi is mutter, drinking is permissible. And the primary halach is like we said that until Los Shachar you can eat, and even after Los Shachar we started before, you can continue eating. So a lot of Mishnah Berurah here. Excuse me. Mishnah Berurah says that if when starting for Los Shachar means starting more than a half an hour before Los Shachar, because within the last half hour you can't start a Suda, and that's only if it's more than a Kibetza. But if it's less than that, it's permitted even until the Los Shachar. Mishnah Berurah writes also that the primary halacha is not to start a Mishnah unless you can finish it before a Los Shachar. The Bir Halacha writes, is this on this if? Yeah. Bir Halacha writes that you also after up for tefillin, just like for Shema, it goes also midoraisa. Chav Zayin, L'das Rashi V'brachas, Afilu Limod Asam Shekias Matfila. Rashi holds, even to learn is forbidden once the Matfila comes. But Taisus Varosh Chokim Lo, there's Rosh argue with that. Because of Rosh Afilu Rashi, Eina Isok Shalom, base Midrasho, the Is is only learning your base Medrash, it's Palel B'Sham Daven in the same place. Ve'en Olech L'Beis HaKnesses, he's probably not going to do Tim and Shul to Daven. In this case, we could be concerned they might get distracted by learning the hours of Kriya Shema and Tefillah, and the time with Shema and Tefillah will pass. But, excuse me, his custom is to go anyway to a shul to daven, or somewhere else, based on Medrash. Shalom Malcolm Shalom made at the same place he's learning mutar, it's permissible. So to be teaching other people, I feel mispal b'sham, even down in the same place, mutar, it's permissible to continue teaching. The Talmud Torah, the rabbim, adifa, the Talmud Torah of the masses is superior. Kosh kem shah veres, and certainly when the time is passing. If they don't learn now, they're going to not be able to learn. The schus harabim davar gadol, for you to say share with these people is a great schus. We know from the beginning of brachas that Rabbi Yonasi taught us Talmidim. When the time Kriya Shema passed, he quickly took his passed his hands over his eyes. Because Rak pasuk Shema Yisrael, only read the pasuk Shema Yisrael, and then continue teaching. Vadan, you should know the Rabbeinu Rabbi Yisrael Kasel Lamei Lacher Mutter. He writes, your teacher's permissible came in that show veres, because time is passing. You don't learn now. They're going to be about the Torah Ayin Shom. Nearly as died to the lav dafku. To me, it seems it's not specific. The stom of the, in other words, you don't, it doesn't have to show veres. The stom of a milso, okay, no, normally that's the case, that the show veres, avadu cholidam mutter, shetesor shchokim legamri, because those was arguing say that it's mutter to learn without restriction before davening in the Mizaka the Rabbi. In brackets he says, if kosher ikatam adover, we know the Rashi fabricated. To me it's difficult. How do they know that Rashi holds this, that you have to daven, that you can't, I think, how does he know that you have to, where you're davening, it's in the same place where you are learning that you have to be mafsik for davening? Gemara was machmir himself. It's possible that maybe it's because if it were permissible, the Binyamin Tzaddik would not be machmir to not learn. The Gam Tesar Ben Yoina, Kasu Rashi's Al Yoinoi came, and he davened before continuing to learn. Rashi know that ain't doing this part we talk halacha psuka to Isa. This it says that you only start davening when you come to a psak halacha. So it sounds like you continue learning until you get to a makom psak, a place to stop. Kirisa, like it says, the zel davar katzav leka chashash amshacha. That's a short time to get there. There's no concern they're going to get distracted. Lo believe it, not talking about a long learning of a Subi. Vata, and now Nogim Limo B'chol Hofen. We learn no matter what. It has a taste of the rush. The Rambam also not mentioned about learning before davening that situation. Mr. Brewer writes several things here. First of all, writes it's better not when you get up in the morning. No, he says it's better to refrain from eating if you don't before davening if you're not compelled to do so. The Prima Garden says that's only if you slept and then woke up. And drinking possibly is permitted. We already matches. The Shekel writes in Sheb Yaakov that if his heart is weak, it's also mutter, and it is only also to quench your desire. Chayyim Rose writes the same thing. Chayyim writes if by not drinking you're going to negate your learning, or not eating, not negate your learning. Mutter le'echol, you have to eat. Mishnah writes once it comes dawn, then of course you're not supposed to eat. And some people are making chatchila even after dawn, as long as it's not adjacent to sunrise, at which time one is supposed to daven. The Mishnah Berurah also writes that if you said to your friend who's not learning that if you get distracted in your learning, he should remind you that time should have passed, then you're also allowed to learn. And this is before Arukh HaShulchan's blanket head to learn. The Shmuel writes that if the tzibur usually comes to him to daven, that's also mutter because they're definitely going to remind him. And Mr. Burr writes that if you are afraid that Zman Kriyashma is going to pass while you're learning, then you have to read it before you begin learning. Okay. Isa, sorry. Avokav nam b'Shabbos, even though it says in Shabbos, Mesechus Shabbos, Leishay Neas Apor, Bush not sit in front of the barber. Samach lemincha, Achis Pao, when it's adjacent to mincha time for davens, Loikas the messenger not enter a bathhouse. Come less Kosvo, Rabba Rambam, Begvav, Shulchan Sibsayim, Mutali Stapli Kos Mechus Mashachas. You're allowed to shave and get a haircut and go into the bathhouse adjacent to Shacharis. You know the Zion Shacharis is imminent. The Mutali El Shalogozu El Samach lemincha. Shudam Matzah. The only time they made exeras by adjacent to mincha where it's prevalent that's going to take more time. Mela therefore comes out of mouth. Yikomash Shinu Sham. V'lo leburtziki v'lo le'echo v'lo le'din. V'var achila mutar b'hem. That which it says that the Torah is not given to the tanners, nor to the eaters, nor to the a person should not start scratch that. Person should start tanning or eating or sending a judgment. The vad achila that's only about eating, but mutar b'hem, anything else is you're allowed to do even when the time Shacharis comes. The Mishnah Berurah writes on this. This is only right before Amud HaShachar. After Amud HaShachar, everything is awesome. He also writes, the Prima Garim says that a case in court, Burski tanning a Suda, an elaborate meal, also Samach LaShachris, it's forbidden to just adjacent to Shachris, just like it's forbidden adjacent to Mincha. Chavtes, Afa B'Shikar Mitzvah Siman Eitzacham, Milo Prime Mitzvah of davening is with sunrise. Come never as Mishal Onus, somebody who's compelled to daven later. Let's say so there, we have to go out early to travel. You can start davening after Amud HaShachar. Now, Timikros Kirshma, you should wait to reach Ma until its time comes. The time you can see a friend with whom you're somewhat accustomed, and you recognize him. But this we're talking about case we can't tarry in his house adzman zeh. So this time Shazi Kra Kriya Shema B'Yisrael, which case we would say Shema Daven then. Ella Mucharach L'Tzeis B'Kom. So in the case he's compelled to leave earlier. L'Chein Yisrael B'Veisim Yarach Halos Shachar. So he should daven immediately. B'Yelch L'M Go. Here's my Kriya Shema. Time Zman Kriya Shema comes. Yikra Yivarech. You can read Shema and Yikra Baderech. You can read along the road. As long as, of course, you can stop for the first pasuk, Chavim Bo, and have kavanah for the commercial kasab nusham. Even though you're going to say tefillah before geula, for michamocha ba'elim Hashem, nevertheless, this is better. She's played faith. She's probably so mumad to have at home standing v'lo yismo geula tefillah and forgo singing some geula tefillah. She's probably derech zmana. I'm sorry, mishparas derech bezmana. That's also better than diving on the road at its proper time. Shumo mihalech. We smoke geula tefillah.
Whenever you're ready, I can finish the super with you.
So, Kain plus Gatur Shulchan Aruch Sof Siman Zeh is what the Tur and Shulchan Aruch paskin in the end of this siman. So it's better, again, it's better to daven in his house standing and not be so than to daven while you are traveling and being somek geula tefillah. That's the psak of the Tur and the Shulchan Aruch, and that's all for tonight, folks.